some of these questions back to the people to see uh, where is everyone at today? To see if the Most High is still among us, because Yah said he will do nothing but what he first revealed unto his servants the prophets. So we want to see and hear revelations. Revelations. And of course, we dealt with subject matters all over the law. All over the law. All over the law. And all these things were done to help us to become more united. Total unity will not take place until the Almighty return, and then we are delivered at least from this land. However, the Almighty still said his watchmen shall see eye to eye. And so that's our goals as watchmen. Everybody might not be a watchman, but the watchmen, whomever they are, this should be their goals, desires, as well as endeavors. And it's been ours for 25 years. Some came a little bit later, but myself and Mowreh IshYAH been here all 25 years. We hosted the very first restoration of the Sacred Laws Most High Conference here in Atlanta, Georgia. And we was, what's the name of the community we were at? We was at the the hotel.
Doubletree Guest Suites.
Yeah, Doubletree Guest Suites Hotel. The meeting was at Red Top Mountain, but where we stayed at was where?
Doubletree Guest Suites.
I know, but what's that area called? Is that perimeter or?
Perimeter area.
It's called, is it Dunwoody?
Yeah, Dunwoody, Georgia.
Yeah, Dunwoody. That's where we were at the very first conference. Of course, that was in,
14 years now.
yeah, that was years ago, yeah. And YAH'S was one of the managers there at that hotel. And but now we're here 25 years later. And he has a little bit more gray, but he's doing good. He's doing good though. And but before we get into the heart of these subject matters, if you don't have to stand, but you can if you want to, and we'll start on this right side first, since more people want to sit on our, well, y'all on the right looking at me. On my left, we'll start on my right. And before we introduce ourselves, well, I just do it since I'm speaking right now. Mowreh IshYAH, YIsraEL, from the House of Israel, Cincinnati, Ohio. Of course, I started the very first House of Israel outside of Cincinnati, where I started right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And then I started the next House of Israel outside of Cincinnati in Raleigh, North Carolina. In Raleigh. And full circle back to Cincinnati, Ohio. But with that said, we'll start on this side. You can just introduce yourself and let us know where you're from. We're gonna start up front, then go to the back.
Shalom, family.
Shalom, shalom.
Giving all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Israel by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah. It's the honor and the pleasure and the glory to be here My name is Brother Obadiah Israel from the house of YIsraEL of Cincinnati, Ohio. Been in this knowledge for quite some while, but the Most High keeps enlightening and opening up, and I learn something new every single time when the YAH service stand up and witness for the Most High. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be in the midst of YAH's people, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to be in the land of the living to learn more great words from the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh. Hallelujah.
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 Thanks and praise to the Most High for the opportunity and privilege to be amongst the brethren and sisters, all of us of the house of Israel.
Hallelujah.
My name is Stephen Moser. I'm from Statesville, North Carolina. I have family here in Marietta, so I came down. A lot of your faces I know, you may not know me. I'm avid follower through YouTube and Blog Talk Radio. I follow quite a few groups with the affiliation of the House of Israel, but I've chosen to be family here. I'm very thankful and give all praise to the Most High for this opportunity. Thank you again.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise Yah.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
I'm YISraEL, and I've been in the knowledge for a while now, and very happy to be here at the Restoration of the Sacred Laws Council. I've been coming here for quite a few years now, since the time when Mowreh IshYAH used to be the host of it, with the co-host, some of which are up there now. And, I'm very delighted to be here. I think the direction that we took from Mowreh IshYAH is the right direction, because Mowreh IshYAH always emphasized, thus saith YAH, for us to get ourselves together, to reason, to settle our differences, and so forth. So this is a place to be. I'm very delighted and happy to be here. Shalom.
Shalom. Hallelujah. You gave your name, Elder?
Yes.
Yes, that first, it was just so low.
Yeah.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.
My name is YIsraEL. I'm here from the Atlanta area. I live down in Riverdale, on the other side of Atlanta. Brother IshiYAH and Brother Yehoshua, they were my first teachers, even though they gave me dates from Brother Alicia. I've been knowing them now for about 20 years, 21 years. Met him here in Atlanta. Used to be at the Georgia Hill Center. That's where I first met him at. Him, his brother, Zerubbabel, taught my first class. I want to share this with you all because I didn't, of course, didn't know y'all. And on my very first class, Zerubbabel taught the very first portion of it. And Zerubbabel had one of these, one of these big Bibles. Yeah, had a picture of Christ in it. Zerubbabel got the front of class, walking back and forth, talking about Christ was all, how we was taught that Christ was all Savior and stuff. And so he went over to his Bible, he had it sitting out front, tore the picture out of Christ, held up in front of the class and said, man, you was taught all your life that this is your Savior. He said, you've been taught all your life that this is the one that's going to save you. He took the picture, balled it up, threw it on the floor, stepped on it, threw it in the trash can. He said, that's what I think of your Savior. I gotta tell you, I said to myself, I said, these people crazy. But I will say this also. I came back at that Sabbath and been coming back ever since then.
And it's waiting right before you go, Charles, and tell you where Zerubbabel got it from. He got it from Mowreh IshYAH. And Mowreh IshYAH, one day we sitting in class in Cincinnati, and he got this picture of Christ, blue-eyed, stringy hair, white, and he took this picture, and it was funny, because he didn't do what Zerubbabel did. He took this picture and said, he said the same words, this is your Savior. He said, well, you got to prove to me that you don't believe in this. And he took this picture out and he started handing it to people. Tear this thing up. And they look at it, but they ain't tearing it up. He'll snatch it out of somebody's hand. Tear this thing up, man, quick. And they look at it. Tear this thing up. He passed it to about 3 or 4 people and they ain't tear it up. He said, man, give me this thing, and start ripping it. And said, man, y'all scared of this thing? And obviously some people were scared. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's where it was born at, years ago, back in the 80s. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Give all praise and glory to mighty Yah. I'm saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
My name is Brother Charles Parker. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I started following the House of Israel back in 2008 by way of internet, YouTube, watching Brother Elisha's videos as debates, and you know, he blessed me enough to carry me this far to bring me my first conference in Memphis and to spend time with family. And I'm back here now, and I give all glory and praises to the mighty Yah.
Hallelujah. Hey, Brother Charles, you got to tell us this funniest thing I heard. You got to tell them how you woke up versus your son.
Well, we woke up as basically almost the same way. So I woke up in 2008, but we live in the same house, obviously, and so back about a year and a half ago, he came in and said, "Hey, Dad, I've been watching YouTube videos. And you ever heard of this Brother Elisha?" I was like, "What?" Of course I heard of Brother Elisha. How do you think I woke up? I was like, you should hear what he said. I go, I heard all his things about 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Again, that's how. Again, we were in the same house, but he was hearing what I was saying, but he wasn't hearing what I was saying, which is proof that Yah needs to wake you up. No matter what man tells you, Yah needs to be able to open your eyes.
He in one room on YouTube, his son in another room on YouTube. Talking about, did you hear this, Dad? He's like, yeah, I heard it. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Brother Lael.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
It's a good day to be above ground.
Praise
Yes,
God.
sir. Praise Yah. Praise Yah.
Well, I come in late, so I assume everybody introduced themselves, since you already called my name. Me and my wife from Central County, and every 2 weeks.
What county is that?
Say again?
What did you?
You said what county? I don't understand.
I thought you said y'all was
Central
from.
County.
Yeah, where's that at?
Ashbrook. Twin brother.
Yeah, I know where it is. They don't know where it is.
It's from Central County, a little small town in called Dedo, Mississippi.
There you go.
If you sneeze, you out of it. It's just that small. So I came here. My wife did this before me, Solange. She used to try to get me to come. I said, I'm not coming. So she just made me make a promise one day. I'm gonna come. She said, you go to everybody else's church? I said, okay. I come, and you went by. And I finally came and I listened. And teacher taught well. I was a little confused somewhere because I've been in several different religions, like I told you.
Yeah.
And they said it wasn't no Jesus. I mean, I told them the same thing. Y'all crazy.
Yeah.
So long story short, I started coming, and when I did eventually find my way, I only missed one service since I've been coming. And that's because I have sickness, real serious sickness in my family. But I'm grateful that your twin brother, he meet with us every 2 weeks in Simpson County, small Dedo, and my family and a few more, he teaches us well, and it's been great to know Yah. Because it's not a time in my neighborhood that the guys see me, they want to know what's wrong with me.
Right.
I tell them what's right about me.
There you go. Hallelujah.
Not only that, I show them what's right about me.
That's it. That's it.
So, long story short, I'm going to sit down because I'm still enough and praise Yah that He allowed us to make it here today and for tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. And we're going to try to enjoy ourselves and have a great time and get some more knowledge to drive on.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And look, I'm coming down to get them collard greens since they done come to me. Look, before you leave here, I'm giving you some dates. I'm coming to get them collards.
All right.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Sister Noam is grateful to be here, and the Creator allowed us to travel this way today. And I pray that everybody made it safe, and hopefully y'all make it back safely as well.
Hallelujah. And look, Sister Noon, that's her husband, Brother Lyle. And she was working on it. And she said, Mowreh, can y'all talk to my husband? Can y'all talk to him? And yeah, you got to talk to Charles, but you just got to prove things to him.
Yes.
When he look, you just can't talk. You got to show him. And we showed him, and now here he is today. Like he said, he don't miss. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I'm Brother Obia, used to be known as Brother Rafi, changed my name.
Hallelujah.
From Florida.
What part of Florida?
And my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I guess we came to the first conference in Tennessee last year.
Mm-hmm.
We found you because my wife was listening to the internet, and she told me, man, you gotta hear this. I said, man, I've been hearing you for 10 years. I was Baptist, she was Adventist, then we were Messianic, then nothing kind of clicked, nothing didn't feel right, because like I always question things, why we as people got started in the back of the book,
Right.
and why we never went to the front.
Right.
When you go to school, you start from the front,
Right.
you work your way to the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, something's wrong with this picture. So when we were in Israel, because we went over there with the Messianics, we went to the museum, and as we went to this museum, they had these artifacts of the Israelites, and they had like Afro pigs and things that, common things that we use.
Right.
They said we can't take any pictures. You're not allowed to take your phones out. They had security watching you. So we kind of woke up there, and then they kind of turned against us real fast. So that's our story.
And now, look, they turned against them, and now they turned to Yah. Hallelujah.
Shalom. All praises to the Most High Yah. Like my husband said, I've been Seventh-day Adventist for 25 years. One day, 3 years ago, I walked out of the church. I told the pastor I gotta go. Then we went on this journey, like he said, went to Israel. We almost got locked up in Israel, came back, and I began searching the internet. I said, there's something out there. We found Mowreh IshYAH, and I started to learn. And then I was like, where is he? I have to find this man. And then we started searching and searching and searching. We found the House of Israel, Atlanta. And I still felt like there was something else, and I began to pray. I said, Yah, please lead us. And then just on the internet, we found the House of Israel, Cincinnati, and it's been love ever after. So we are satellite members. We spend every Shabbat with you guys. When you have lunch, we have lunch, and I am officially in the choir. I go to choir practice.
Hallelujah.
Praise Him. We're just so happy to be here. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And look, she telling the truth, because her daughter come in here, she ready to go. She ready to sing, man. Goodness. Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, what part of Florida?
We're in
Lake Worth, Florida.
Palm Beach, West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach. All right, all right. We coming there too. But we coming there just to lay out in the sun. We coming to Mississippi to eat. College. And sisters are hard. She brought me some mangoes from Florida. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I can't wait. And then Sister Noon left my collards in Mississippi. But I'm coming to get them. I'm coming to get them. It was my fault though, but I'm coming to get them. What you bring us from Atlanta, Enoch? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's go next.
My name is Israel from Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been with Alicia since the late 80s. Before the brothers, when they started, I remember when they started in that I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I was woke up to the knowledge by another sister, her name was Gabrielle. We was on the job, and you're not supposed to talk religion on the job. So I told her I was looking for some place to go. She said, y'all go with me. And, I went with her that Saturday. We left on rush because class started at 2. We had to get in there before you noticed they locked the door. And, asked a few questions. Hadn't missed the time unless I was in the hospital or sick. And I was at the first,
Conference.
conference, up on Red Top Mountain. That's when Roosevelt babies was little. So
And my babies.
That was the second crew though.
Yeah.
The first group.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little ones.
Yeah.
No, that was the second crew. He got older ones than that.
Yeah, he got older ones than them.
He got older ones than
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole
He got about
other
3 or 4
story.
crews now,
I
though.
knew. Yes,
Right,
I knew.
yeah.
I didn't meet them, but I knew of them.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
of it.
right.
It was 2. But
Right,
it was
that's
2.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
All praises to the Most High.
Yeah. And Elder Ariel is correct. I remember when as a rabbi took us to the house of Israel, and she was right there. And you don't see a lot of faces that around that was there when we first walked in those doors, but she was there. And she became the treasurer for many years and just been a pillar, not only for the house of Israel of old, but even the house of Israel today, still a pillar in our community. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Shalom.
My name is YAH'S Israel. I started this walk a year ago. I just asked one question. What's the difference between being an Israelite and a Christian? And when that answer was given to me and was proven, I've been here ever since. And I praise y'all for this family in 1907. Excuse me for my tears, but every time I talk about them, I just love them so much I cry. So thank you, y'all, for letting me be here today.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Don't be scared.
Be scared.
Be scared to ask them questions. Don't be scared.
Oh, you know they're gonna call
She already waiting for us.
Shalom. My
Shalom.
name is IshiYAH, and I'm from Princeton, Mississippi. That's my sister and my brother-in-law, and these are my 2 beautiful girls. And I thank the Most High for blessing us being here, and I hope He blessed us to have a safe trip. Everybody going back. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Yeah.
I thought the babies were gonna go.
They could have went.
Shalom, everybody. My name is YAH'S
Hallelujah.
Israel. I say my whole name because I am so happy for it. I picked my initials first because they spelled yay! Y-A-Y. And that's how I felt about changing my name. I was very excited. And I did pick my initials first and then found another name. I woke up through the scriptures. Didn't tell anybody. My daughter was 14. She's like 35 now. So, but I didn't tell anybody for 10 years because, of course, I was raised Christian. I had never heard of a Hebrew Israelite, and I didn't know anybody thought the Bible was about black people. So I started reading, and I'm like, telling my kids, I think this is about us. I think this is about us. They said, oh, it's about the Israelites, the Jews, Mom. I said, no, I really think it's about us. So I didn't tell anybody for about 10 years, and then I finally just started asking. I said, I know I can't be the only one that sees this. I know I'm not the only one that's seeing this. And so then I started asking people, y'all know anybody that think the Bible's about black people? And my son, they used to get their hair cut at Elisha's shop sometime, and he told me, he said, well, you know, Mom, he calls himself Elisha, why don't you call him? So I called him, and I found out about the class, and came there, started going there regularly in 2010. So this is, my 8th year. It's amazing. It doesn't seem that long.
Yeah.
But, and my first conference was July of 2010, and it was in Florida where y'all were living, in Jacksonville. And it was, and I'll tell you, it was the best beds and best pillows ever in that hotel. But I'm grateful for this. this service, you know, that we do. I'm the choir director, and you know, we have a lot of good things. We have good teachers and good people, and I praise the mighty Yah for him. And that's all you know, I could talk about the Most High all day, but I'm just real happy, you know, because, you know, like people say, you know, well, you could be wrong. I said, well, I've been wrong before, but I'm doing this, and I'm liking it. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And she already knows she ain't wrong now. And look, she basically under a preacher, and she not just our choir director, she was been a choir director, started changing the names to Yah.
Oh yeah.
And it was good for a minute, but like,
And then they shut me down.
yeah, they was like, what's going on with this? You changing all the names, and they said, well, you got to change that back. And she said, well, if you can't have Yah, you can't have me. She had to walk on out.
That's true.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes, sir.
That's me.
There you go.
My name is, well, I was born Jonathan, but I changed it myself to Jonathan. But I did take the initiative to go to a courthouse, but it was the wrong courthouse, so I had to go to another courthouse to get it officiated. But I'm gonna give the greatest of glory, highest of honor, powers of praise to the Most High Yah.
Hallelujah.
I'm glad to be here, man. This is my new family right here.
Hallelujah.
I came up with this truth, well, under my old man, he the one that, saw the light. He saw this guy back in the early 60s on the street corner speaking and talking about it. While the other guy down the block was talking about he was on the Islamic tip. He was doing that. So he's trying to see which one. So he wanted to hear this guy named Lucius Casey. That's the one who was teaching the truth. So, to make the long story short, he grabbed a hold of it and then he started, he named all his kids out the Bible. Jonathan, David, Tamara, Deborah, and Joseph.
That's right.
So, yeah, so all they have to do with my name is, change the spelling from the J to the Y.
Yeah.
And then, and I did a lot of YouTube searching. Oh, yeah, the other thing, this guy, we all came from Chicago. This guy took the initiative, purchased 400 acres of land, which is in the southern Illinois. And we all migrated down there. A lot of guys, because everybody who was in Chicago was going to class to the designated area in Chicago. We all had to pay up the little money every week, and we paid the little fee, move houses on the property, trailers on the property, and 200 400 acres, it was farmable, so we did a farming. I even had a farm. I went to school for ag resources. That's a long time ago. So, but anyway, I used to call, the Most High to say, I am that I am. This is my name forever. And I said, it can transfer to IshiYAH, everybody.
Yeah.
And then I was on the internet, YouTube a lot. I seen Alicia. I said, this guy gave me freaking goosebumps. And I was popping in lesson after lesson after lesson. And then people say, you listen to that mess? I said, this is not no mess. You're crazy. Because the first woman that I married, she was into that. My mom, we used to go at it, man. She Christian, down hard Pentecostal. We used to go at it. I said, well, I can prove my things. Can you prove yours? Well, I'm not good with the mirroring, but just get the book and open it up. Let's go with it. Yeah, but anyway, after YouTube and I come across YIsraEL, man, them lessons they hit off the chain. But I usually do my research. I say, this man is on point here, man. And then it took me a long time to go from I am that I am to say Yah.
Right.
When I finally come across the line, I said, oh man, I hope I don't get struck out. I finally used the term Yah.
Yeah.
And I felt good from that point on. Yeah, Alicia, I always wanted to meet Alicia, but I never got a chance to meet her. Then I found out he had passed away. I said, man, I want to meet that cat.
Yeah.
But all the people that I grew up with, they all dispersed. It's not very many people hanging on to this at all. It's about maybe a handful now. Because a couple of guys that went to Egyptology.
Yeah.
One of the guys is my friend, and he died.
Yeah.
That really opened my eyes about that right there.
Right.
He did like a 360-degree turn.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I went to Egyptology. But anyway, I'm glad to be amongst you. I'm glad, it's an honor to be here. And I'm here to stay for life. It's time to go home.
That's it. Hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise Yah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah, my brother grew up this way, man. He grew up this
Oh,
way.
yeah, I'm from Paducah, Kentucky. That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah, he down in Kentucky now. But grew up this, parents raised him Israel, you know. And, but out of his spirit, the Almighty said what? One of the family, two of the city.
Yeah.
And he had to say, look, I can't do that new thing over there, you know. And he was Yah, no matter what.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Be surprised, man. Your brothers and sisters, they all kind of depart as well.
Yeah, with a lot of people, yeah. A lot of people. And we knew a lot of people that came up under Casey, a lot of the leaders, Samson, you remember Samson?
Samson.
Yeah, see, I asked you about Samson.
Yeah, Samson was a relative of mine, man.
Oh, yeah?
I what Samson you talking about, though, see? I know what
He,
you're talking about.
Samson ended up getting all the makers down in Mississippi, right?
Mississippi, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about it and we'll see if it's the same one. Because this Samson had about
Seven wives.
7 wives, something like that. He got a bunch of kids.
You know Elkanah. I talked to him, matter of fact, he know one of the guys who lives down here now.
Right.
The guy whose son is his father, the one who passed away, went to Egyptology.
Yeah.
Now, he passed it on to his father, and now he's doing it now, but he's real sick now. So.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Must not be good.
Yeah, we do a few of them.
Yeah.
Of course, one of the guys that, and then I'll have the teachers introduce themselves. Another brother, he came up under Casey also, and I can't think of his name, but he was living in Hewlett.
Illinois.
Yeah.
Everybody say other. The TV on television, they say Hewlett. I said, man, they will never get it right. Yeah. They say Hewlett, and they say other. Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
But he, and so Alicia went out down there and spoke hours with him, man. And they all, woke up, but then part of the group went to Egyptology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of the teachers.
Yeah.
So I talked to them doing it.
Yeah. So.
But, I'm in one class that the son, matter of fact, the son grew up, we all graduated from the same high school.
Okay.
The son came back, and he the one brought I'm not going to ever forget that because I kept the notes. Yahweh, he brought the name Yahweh back.
Right, okay.
Then he went to Egyptology.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's how it be. All right, before let me go ahead and introduce the teachers. And Mowreh Napthtali, he'll be in. He just take care of a few things for us. And then Mowreh out of Mississippi, he's also on his way. And then, so on this side we have, you can stand and introduce yourself.
I'm Mowreh YIsraEL in the house of Israel. I don't know where I live these days because I live in so many different places. Actually, I just relocated to Birmingham, Alabama, actually.
Okay.
That's where I'm at currently. Most people don't know that. The Almighty said fit for me to go back down a little farther south to Mississippi. And it's been a blessing. I was fortunate to come up under a great teacher named Mowreh IshYAH. And my brother's Rubber Bell, I remember when he took us to the class for the very first time. And I realized at that moment in that time that I'm in the right place. And one thing that I learned and share from Alicia is that he tells us all the time, y'all got to study harder than everybody else. Y'all can't be just like everyone else. And you can let the Almighty Spirit guide you. And one thing you got to know is you got to know the book. He said, don't let this get you tripped up. Don't let that get you tripped up. And all these other different books that try to teach you about the Word of the Almighty. He said these books can't teach you about the Word of the Almighty. Only the Almighty can teach you about the Word of the Almighty. Right. And you're a servant already, so you already got that instinctively in you. And he taught us that. And I'm thankful today I'm here alive to not only teach this Word, spread this Word, and live it. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hey, and he used to trip us up all the time. Ray, let's say, ask us questions, man, who's the worst. Tear our tail up, man. Yes, sir.
Giving all praise to the mighty Yah by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
My name is Mowreh IshYAH, YIsraEL. I'm from the House of Israel of Cincinnati. I came into the knowledge of the Most High 14 years ago now. Met Mowreh Elisha 15 years ago at my school at Central State University in Ohio. And he was speaking about the true Hebrews. And I didn't believe a word he said. And then about 8 months later, I was looking for him because I saw in the scriptures that we were the people of Yah. And I found the people that brought Elisha to our school, and I said, hey, you need to take me to Cincinnati. And I went and heard Mowreh Elisha teach the word of Yah, and I have been serving Yahweh ever since. And Mowreh Elisha was a real special person to me. He stared at me for a good year. He just looked at me like, who's this guy? And I just was like, I hope he ain't gonna beat me up or something. But he observed me for a good year. I remember that. And then, you know, I was on security and I sat across the table from him one day. He was coming back from out of town. And he's like, what's your name? And back then I had a heathen name. And he never remembered my heathen name. But luckily I got it changed, and then he knew my name, but then he kept on calling me his name. He would call me IshiYAH. And I'll say, IshiYAH, Mowreh Elisha. He'd go, oh yeah, IshiYAH. And he called me IshiYAH until the day he passed away. And you know, now that I'm real close with Mowreh IshYAH, I'm like, well, I guess it was an honor to be called IshiYAH. I am IshiYAH. Mowreh Elisha, that was my guy. And I praise the mighty Yah that I was able to meet him and know him and learn from him. And he made me a minister, a Mowreh, and a teacher 8 years ago. And I praise the mighty Yah that mighty Yah inspired him to even let me stand before the people and teach. I praise Yahweh for being here. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, he said it's an honor now, but when he went out to the front desk checking in, they said you got 2 or 3 rooms. He said, no, that's IshiYAH. I'm IshiYAH. I'm IshiYAH. Oh my goodness. Well, praise the mighty Yah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now, it's an honor for you all to be here. It's our pleasure. And we are family. We are family. And our family extends way past not only these walls, way past 1907 Vine Street, way past all that you can even dream and imagine. We have people listening to us all over the world, and they are family as well. And some just could not make it here, but they are family. And even those who we're not on the same page with, they are family as well. Because one day we will be on the same page. And all those who want to be on the same page as the Most High. And that should be all our goals, all our dreams, all our visions, all our endeavors. We were laughing yesterday at the fact that oftentimes when we're talking to people, they'll say they didn't get this from us, but even though they didn't get it from us, they say it all the time. They'll say, we'll say such and such and such, and they say, if it be Yah will, say, if Yah willing, what I just said is Yah's will. It's in the book. It's Yah's will. And so a lot of times we just think it's Yah's will, but we got to know it's Yah's will. And once it is his will, don't say if it be Yah will, because it is his will. And it is his will that Israel come together. That's his will. Everyone that's called by his what? Name. Yeah, that's his will. In spite of all the various differences. That's his will. So that's who, and when you're doing this will, you gather yourselves together. You come together. And so don't be a stranger to Israel. There's no cliques. We might say congregations, Knesses, and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's only one congregation. It's only one clique, and that is the house of Israel. And I want y'all to know, we don't say the house of Israel because somehow, some way, that's some slick name we came up with. There's only one congregation in the whole book, and it's called the house of Israel. And that's where Mowreh IshYAH got it from. And so other groups might call themselves something else, but they still the house of Israel. That's all we've ever been called in the scriptures, and this is all we call ourselves today. And we just identify the house of Israel Cincinnati, house of Israel Mississippi, house of Israel this, that, just, so people know who they speaking to, but we only call the house of Israel. So we don't do that to separate ourselves from our brothers that might call themselves something else. That's just scripture. And that's how Elisha always worked. He just dealt scriptures. And so, and there's 4 different congregations in Cincinnati, Ohio. Of course, when Elisha was alive, that wasn't going to go down. He'd be knocking on some doors like, let's visit these brothers. That's right. Let's see what, y'all the house of Israel? Okay, let's sit down. We are too. But today it's a little bit different today. But nevertheless, we're all family. I want to make that crystal clear. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, we got some subjects here. And look, we praise Yah once again, Yehoshua, his beautiful wife, Sister Tova, for hosting us here in Atlanta, Georgia. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We're going to reserve all the good congratulations after we eat. Then we're going to decide. Still going to congratulate. All right. Don't boast. Let us boast. Let us boast when we get it in our mouth. Yeah. But we got some real good subject, very meaningful subject, very important subjects to discuss. I don't think there's no greater subject to discuss than these subjects today. And time dictate that we discuss these subjects. And the first one is, what does it mean to take the Most High name in vain? What do it mean? And a lot of times people say, well, if you're just sinning or if you're just doing something wrong, you're taking his name in vain. But not necessarily. You might just didn't know you were sinning. You might just didn't know the truth. I mean, technically speaking, that he is taking his name in vain, because the scriptures say he shall bring every work into judgment, whether it be what? Good. Whether it be good or bad. Every work going to be brought into judgment. So, because the Almighty know your heart, he know you better than we know ourselves. And so, but nevertheless, we want to know what that means specifically. Number 2, has the Most High revealed his name today? Just bottom line, what is the Most High's name? We hear all these people, and I notice every time we get to discussing these particular things, as we're doing today, People call the Most High all kind of names. But for some strange reason, we can't get these people in the same room to sit down and to discuss these names that we hear. I just don't get it. And we just want to sit down with these brothers and teachers and language experts and everybody else. Surely this got to be just as important to them as it is to us that we get this name right. And so we're going to discuss it regardless if they are no-shows or not. So if his name is revealed today, we want to know what it is. But if not, we want to know that too. So if his name have not been revealed, then we want to know that. We want you to prove that. We want you to show that. Say, no, it's not revealed. Okay, fine. Show us. And then, how will the Most High name make his name known? In other words, at the point that you say, yes, he has revealed his name. All right, good. What is it? And you prove that he revealed his name. Good. Then how did he make that name known to you? How do you make it known? Because then we can go in the book to see how authentic everything you're saying is. Because everything comes from the book with us. We're not in the days of Abraham, where we didn't have no book, and some came out of heaven, and and whoever you say, look, this came from heaven. This came from the Most High. Now we got books. Now we got the Word. And that's what we prove everything by. So how will the Most High make his name known? After proving the revelation of his name or not, and after proving what does it mean to take the Most High name in vain, then prove how he made that known. Of course, even though we love many of our brothers in the past and our teachers and our mentors and our, but we only have one Elohim, one Father, one Yah, who had one law, one people, and he said one manner. That's who we need to know these questions from. Answer these questions from the mouth of Yah. And it's fine if you don't know. But you just got to admit, you got to humble and say, I just don't know. But if you know, this is the place to be. And even though everybody's not here, because everybody couldn't be here, still, they're watching you. They're listening to you to see what do they know. Now you have a bunch of people who probably could have been here. They say, man, they don't know what they don't know. Why weren't you here to tell us and straighten us out? That's all we want them to do. Almighty said he's going to make the crooked things straight. Well, let's make these crooked things straight. Same amount it cost me to get to Atlanta, Georgia, same amount it cost them. So nobody above nobody. This travel for me was not free. Was it free to any of y'all? All right. So let us do the business of the Most High Yah. And so we're going to go with question number 1. And listen, this is how Mowreh IshYAH will start the conferences off He always went to the people first. He never marginalized the people and never put the teachers over the people. He wanted to know what everybody seen. Because who know and who knew whether Yah, whether the Most High inspired someone else. So he didn't marginalize and take that for granted. So I always want to know what do you see? How do you see this? Because iron sharpen iron. And we want to sharpen one another. We all learning, we all in the same boat. We came over here in the same boat, and we going home in the same boat. So this is time to get it together. If we can't act right now, we ain't gonna act right later. So this is the time to try to act right. So that when we go home together, we're gonna act right. Because we act right in the worst of times. So that's what we want to do. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So, first question, what does it mean to take the name or take the Most High's name in vain? And we, without even declaring what his name is right now, you know what you believe, you know how you see it. So, but what does it mean to take his name in vain in relationship to what you believe? Yes, ma'am, Elder Yael.
I think that the word to make things vain means to make them of ill effect or no effect.
That's correct.
And so that's what I think it means.
All right, so how do you do that though?
By saying things like, oh, it doesn't matter what you call him. You can call him G-O-D. Everybody knows what you're talking about. You know, I hear that a lot. You know, it doesn't matter what you call him. People know who you're talking about. He's just like, you know, some people, so if I just call him the Father, that's okay. Or if I call him G-O-D, that's okay. But, you know, I don't have to, you know, it doesn't matter. That's what I hear people say.
Right.
And to me, that's taking it in vain.
Very good. And that's funny because we're the last people that want somebody to call us anything. They start calling us anything. Wait, what you say? But the Most High, it don't matter, huh? And oftentimes you'll hear that in a lot of the various churches. And you'll even hear it in a lot of the mosques. And you talk to a Muslim and they'll say things like, you talk to them and they see you different. What are you? I'm Hebrew. Oh, we all the same. Well, how we all the same, right? You know. Or you say the name of the Most High. Oh yeah, well, that's the same. I mean, everything is not the same, huh? There's a difference between green and blue. So everything ain't the same. So it does not matter what you call him. It don't matter when you introduce to them. But I can assure you, it matters to them, because if you ain't calling on the name of JC or something else, then it matters. But it don't matter what you call him. You call him anything then. And that's what they really saying. Hallelujah. Anyone else? What does it mean to take the Most High's name in vain? What do it mean? Yes, ma'am.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I think being new to Israel, and I think of my family and my friends, you know, if we call and if we're going to pray together, there's always prayer in the name of JC, oh Father, in the name of JC. So for me, I believe it's when you're talking to the Father, referring to the Father, and then going through this other person's name. I think it's vanity. And when I try to say something to my family, they'll say,
Y'all can put those on, vibrate for us, I appreciate it.
No, so I'm at the point now, I said, you can't pray for me, I can't pray with you because we're praying to two different deities. You are in the name of somebody else, and, I'm praying to the Father. So I think when you go to the Father, as they say they are, as I thought I was when I was not awake, and then praying in this other person's name, in the name of JC, I think it's taking the Father's name in vain, and being disrespectful.
Very good, praying to someone else. Yes. Cause if, as the sister's saying, when you really get into the nuts and bolts of things, and no, we're praying to the same thing. It's God, right? Yeah, it is, but what's his name? I mean, the Father. Yeah. What's his name? The Most High. Yeah, what's his name? I mean, you got a name. Your children got a name. So what's his name? And so once you nail them down, they ultimately have to say what? And that name is right in their head, is right in their heart, and it will come out of their mouth. Mm-hmm. And once it come out of your mouth, you see, that's why we can't pray together. Because that's that name right there. And we're going to look at some scriptures to show you how important that name is. See, the Creator, well, we're going to show that because I want to hear from y'all. We're going to show some scriptures, how important that is. Go ahead, brother, you make comment.
Yeah. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Y'all be saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
What about, you think people be ashamed to use that word, a name?
I know they are. Yeah, I know. Yes. They're ashamed, they're scared, see, nobody want to be isolated. They don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to be different. And see, but with the Most High, it's funny because the Almighty said in the book of Isaiah, the 8th chapter, he said, he told our people to, what's this in Isaiah, the 8th chapter? Mm-hmm. And that's a real good question, Brother Yohanan. This is what it says. But a lot of people don't know what it means. And watch what it says. In Isaiah, the 8th chapter. It says in the 13th verse, sanctify Yahweh himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And then not only it tells you to sanctify Yah, which means to do what? Yeah, separate him. The scriptures also tell Israel, sanctify yourself. So it means you got to separate yourself, which means this. You are separating yourself when you begin to do other things that is not popular. It's not the popular view. And so automatically that's going to put you on the island. So automatically you're going to feel strange, different. You're going to feel the effects of actually being kind of like ostracized. And I don't think no Israelite who actually went through the process of sanctifying himself didn't have that feeling. That feeling is you're just gonna have it. Even if you're talking to your family members. Here it is, they say God, they say Lord, but you're saying Yah to your family. And so automatically, as soon as you start saying that stuff, you're going to have this feeling because you're going to be looked at crazy. So yes, embarrassing, it's a lot of things. But ultimately and eventually you get over that, because you done sanctified yourself, so now they're gonna have to deal with it. And that's what happens. So praying to other names, that's very good. Anyone else? The question again, what does it mean to take the Most High name in vain? Yes, ma'am.
Praise, giving honor to the Most High Yah, saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I was saying by swearing falsely in His name.
Very good.
Can you give an example of that?
Yeah.
An example, you want to convince someone of the truth, and you know that person, if you say, oh, believe in, believe me, I swear,
I swear to God.
Yeah, it's the truth. And that person is believing that, and good and well it's not the truth, but that person is going to use that because that's their truth, and you're misleading them to think you're telling the truth and it's not, and you're using the Most High name in vain by lying on Him.
Yeah. And people do that.
Yeah.
They'll swear in a heartbeat, knowing they lying, knowing they ain't being forthright. Some people tell you, I put everything on that. Everything on it. You put everything? And knowing they lie. Yeah, swearing falsely. And that's a law. The Almighty said don't swear falsely by His what? Yeah, that's a law. Yeah. What does it mean to take the Most High name in vain? Yes, sir, Elder.
Giving honor to the Most High Yah by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now, according to my own experience, coming up Christian and, getting into reading and all, when I first read that, my impression is that every people's Elohim was true. And if you discounted every other people's Elohim, you were taking His name in vain.
So you saying, say that latter part for me one time, if you discount him, so I can understand what you're saying.
If all the people that have and once I read that commandment, thou shalt not take His name in vain, to me it meant that all these other people had their deities, and if you disrespected any of them, you were taking His name in vain.
So you saying if you disrespect most people and their idols,
that the meaning that came back to me until the teaching began was that you're taking the name of.
But let me ask you this: are you taking His name in vain if you don't know His name?
Yeah, that's the whole point. And the Gentiles would give me many examples through the years of just how they meant that to be. And that is that whoever is respecting their God, quote unquote, that you're taking His name in vain.
The reason I ask that question is because most people, they swear by the Most High and they don't even know the Most High. They think they are. They use G-O-D.
Right.
They use Lord.
Right.
They even say the Most High.
Right.
And they say, I swear by the Most High. Are they taking the Almighty name in vain? Who say they take His name in vain when they do that? Now you and I say we know the Almighty name. We proclaim it. We testify for it. But for our family members, a good portion of us don't know that. So the question is,
the mere fact that they swear by something, is that taking Almighty's name in vain? Yes, ma'am.
I've had a person tell me that JC was Yah. And so for them to say the Most High and they don't mean, Elohim, they mean JC, then they're all the way off. They're taking it for sure in vain.
So they take his name in vain because they calling him something other than the name that he had.
He is, yes.
The question is, what does it mean, take his name in vain? What do the word vain means? I don't know if y'all talked about that.
Has nothing, for nothing. Little value, no value.
No value?
Yeah.
No regard?
Right. Like it doesn't matter.
Like it doesn't matter? It means nothing?
Let me
Yes, sir, go ahead. Go ahead, Al.
I caught myself trying to point out something in my own personal life history that gave me a monumental problem. First of all, according to how we were being taught, this name was actually reduced to the level of great mystery. And it took special people, or special whites and all,
What name was when you said, be specific so we can know what you're talking about?
G-O-D.
Oh, G-O-D, okay.
So that standing alone, and that time context, and that world position of idolatry that they were really doing, unless you had the specific knowledge, like we're being taught today, you wound up confused where you could dismiss the one you think is God is, well, okay, if he don't come to me and tell me something personal, I'm not going with that. And that's why a lot of people can fall into atheism or different levels of dissatisfaction about what they call the Most High or their worship.
That's why this topic is vitally important. Because if you don't know that you're taking his name in vain, you still go what? Guilty. Whether knowingly or what? Unknowingly.
Right.
Go ahead, Keisha.
I think it's Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. I'll pray to the Most High. Taking the Most High name in vain, it means being dishonest, being rebellious against him, and provoking him to anger.
Being dishonest, being rebellious. What else you say?
Yes, sir. And according to Isaiah 48:11.
Just read it. Isaiah 48:11. Obadiah to read it for you. And since we don't have a mic, read loud too, because it's low over the internet right now.
Isaiah 48 verse 11 reads, "For my own sake, even for my own sake, will I do it. For how should my name be polluted? And I will not give my glory unto another."
Go ahead, you want to explain that?
By the Most High, that he's all power, and he won't give his glory to no one else, and to dishonor him.
Well, you're absolutely right. Anytime we give an honor to someone other than the Almighty, as if they the Almighty, we doing what? And we just read it. Not only we taking it in vain, but we also doing something else, polluting it, and defiling it. And that's a beautiful scripture you just read in Isaiah 48:11. For my own sake, even for my own sake will I do it. For how should my name be polluted? I will not give my honor to what? Another. And Almighty won't. And too often we give our honor to who? Everyone else. We give them to Christ. We give honor to who? The other idols of the Islamic community, the Indian community, and all these other communities. even though they don't what? They don't know his name because they don't what? They don't even know him.
Well, what you say about these other organizations, Hebrew organizations, where they always say in the name of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Same thing applies.
Yeah. And that's what Yahushua meant, that that's why these subjects are very important, because whether they call themselves a Hebrew, whether they call themselves a Muslim or Christian or atheist, at the end of the day, if there's someone that whatever this intelligence is, a lot of people say, well, this higher intelligence or this higher this. Well, what's this higher intelligence name?
Yeah.
You know, that made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. I know it's got to be more than a theory, because it's here.
Right.
That's right.
So who is this thing that we want to know his name? And a lot of the organizations, they have repeated things that they've been taught, but they haven't did the actual things that it takes to know the truth. If they have done it, then these are the people we want to talk to and sit down with, because the Almighty is not the author of confusion. If it's only one Elohim, one Father, then, and we'll see in the scriptures, he say, even his name is what?
Jealous.
His name is one.
One, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's no reason why there should be any religious confusion.
Right.
The only reason is religious confusion is because the people refuse to sit down together.
That's it.
They just refuse to do it. Yes, sir. Brother Lael.
This conversation just came up a couple of days ago. They read the question about prayer in the school. And I said, really, if a person really want to pray, they can pray, but I'm against prayer in school. I said, let me tell you why. Because everybody don't pray to the same person. I said, so if this guy here sitting here hollering JC, and I got a child in school, he's not praying. He's not praying to Yah. And he said, who is Yah? I said, you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You don't even know who he is.
Right.
I said, he's praying to him. I said, so that's why prayers, in my opinion, should be in school, because everybody don't pray to the same grade.
Right.
I'm saying to Yah.
Right.
Because most people don't know who Yah is. Don't even know he has a name.
Yeah.
So, and that was my reason of trying to explain to him, but he still didn't get the concept.
Yeah.
But I guess one day he'll get one.
Well, and actually they get it. They get it. But see, they might not get it with that particular thing, right? That's why we read earlier about the scriptures saying, sanctify Yah himself.
That's right.
Because oftentimes they might not get it with prayer. Because when you're a novice, you might think, well, we all pray to God, you know. But then let the schools not celebrate Christmas. Let them not celebrate Halloween. Let them not celebrate Easter. Let them not celebrate these holidays. Why are we not celebrating this? We used to have activities around these things. Why are we not? Because everybody don't celebrate these things. So you're just going to take everything away. And then so at some point in time, you offended one just to make somebody else happy. And the one you making happy, you offended another. And so at the end of the day, the Creator leaves the responsibility, not to the government, not to other people. He leaves the responsibility to who? Yeah, you yourself. So if you don't want prayer in the school, then just take your kids out of school and you teach them and you pray with them. And now that's what people don't want to do. They don't want to sanctify Yah himself.
Right.
Then you won't have to worry about what they celebrate in school. You won't have to worry about what they saying in school. You won't have to worry about what they doing in school. But I can assure you, once you're in there, you got to worry about it. And then you'll get mad and say, man, look what they doing at these schools. Yeah, because that's what they do at what?
These schools.
That's what the heathens do. They do all these things. Have all kind of, we have Israelites call us all the time, who's locked up. Man, we got to get on them. They not selling, they not feeding us the right food. What you think they do in jail? And that's the government. These private companies, they don't care about your faith and practices and, you know. Now, according to the Constitution of America, you're supposed to have equal rights under the Constitution of America. So if they have a right to practice their religion, you're supposed to have a right to practice what? Yours. I won't depend on them for that, but that's the Constitution of America. So if they have a right to eat certain foods, then you have a right to do that as well. And so you can, which a lot of people do, they go and they fight the man for the right to do things under the Constitution. But at the end of the day, if you say there's only one law, one manner, then that one law and that one manner is the Most High, and it's not the government. So your fight have to go through the Most High. That's where your fight have to go through. Yes, sir.
Giving all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Israel by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I believe one of the ways that we take the Most High's name in vain is by casting his words to the side. When Yah speaks and we don't hearken to what he's saying, we're taking the Most High's name in vain. And that could be various ways. That could be whether we hear it directly from the Most High, or whether it come through the mouth of one of his servants, and we just cast it to the side. Or we may pick up the book and read it, and we may say, yeah, I see that, but I disagree with that. I know Yah said that besides me there is none else, but I'ma still worship the Christ in the New Testament. I know Yah said to keep the Sabbath day, because this is a connection between me and my Elohim, but I don't see where we can keep that in captivity. So constantly taking the words of the Most High and casting to the side. And it says in Isaiah, the 30th chapter, in Isaiah, the 30th chapter, I'm going to read the 8th to the 10th verse. And it reads, "Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be forever, the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of Yah, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us." That's the mentality of people that cast Yah's word to the side, because when we saying, let's gather ourselves and let's discuss our differences, well, I'm not going to gather myself with you because we have differences. And this is the constant rejection of the words of Yah, is, I believe, is how we take in the name of Yah in vain.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And that's good because, we didn't say gather yourselves together when they should not desire.
Right.
The Most High said that.
That's right.
And the only reason you don't see leaders and teachers doing such is because, and it's, I'm not talking about, because a lot of Israelites gather themselves together as long as it's a unity Shabbat. But then when you're talking about differences, what you teach versus what I teach, and everybody just looking for the truth, then all of a sudden you don't see certain people. One brother told me, he said, I don't travel just to talk about differences. I said, you don't, huh? He said, no. I said, well, you don't plan on seeing eye to eye. He said, well, we can do that on the phone. I said, well, is that how the Almighty plead with us? He plead with us on phones. He plead with us. He said he was gonna plead with us what?
Face to face.
Face to face.
And so that's how you plead, but the Almighty desires is something totally different. And so that just lets you know how, you know, when you're serious about this, it don't matter where you meet, where you go, as long as you go, and as long as you meet. Brother Hashum.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, but saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shalom to everyone.
Shalom.
I wanted to ask this question about.
Introduce yourself, brother, because you
Oh,
wasn't here
sorry.
when we were doing that.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Hashum, and I'm from Cincinnati.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And my wife's not here. I wanted to ask this question. Not paying your vows, so like you make a vow to Yah, would that be taking His name in vain?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And Exodus 20:7.
You made it.
Huh?
You made the vow.
Right.
You made it, and then you made it, and then say, I ain't gonna pay you. Well, you made it.
Right. Yeah,
Well, I messed up. Well, get it right. Pay it. Yeah, pay it. That's like, man, I'm sorry, man. I wrecked your car, or I broke your lawnmower, or I broke your vase. And you say, okay, no problem. You gonna fix it? And, well, I mean, I already broke it. Yeah, I know. Can you already fix it? And Almighty wants His vows paid. You just can't act like you broke a vow. And that's what some people believe. They think they break the vow, and then after breaking the vow, they think they don't have to pay it now. No, you got to pay that thing. Yeah.
And Exodus 20:7, because what it reads, you know, Yahweh's not going to let you take His name in vain. He's going to hold you to that.
Yeah, let's read that. Let's read that. In the book of Exodus 20.
20:7.
And this is what it says. Thou shalt not take the name of Yah thy Elohim in vain, for Yah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
Man said He won't leave you unpunished.
Right, and that means the same thing. See, the only way you can get this off, because you took His name in vain. So now there's only one way to turn from that. And that's how?
Do right.
Yeah, you got to do the right thing now. Whatever was the wrong thing, now you got to correct that and do what's right. Because He's not going to hold you guiltless. You're guilty. And that's what people don't understand about sin. Sin is sin, whether you know it or not. But the fact that you don't know it don't exonerate you. But once you know it, then you can correct it. You can make that thing good. And that's exactly what the Almighty wants you to do once you come into the truth about it. Many of us, all of us actually, we all were sinners. And still are, but we all were sinners. But I'm saying, then we found out, man, I shouldn't eat pork. Man, I found out that there's only one Elohim. Man, I found out that we should be wearing 100%. Man, I found out that we can't eat shrimp, catfish, lobster, oysters. Man, I found out that we're supposed to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. But after finding all this out, and we woke up to the fact that we're Israel, how many of us broke down, fasted, prayed, and asked the Almighty to forgive us for the things we didn't know. See, a lot of times we woke up and we, man, heck, I knew it was something different, but we never went back to the Most High to say, man, I sinned. I went amiss. I have done wickedly. We forgot that part. And that's an essential part. Because the Almighty said, once that sin come to your knowledge, then you got to correct that thing. You can't act like you ain't never did nothing. And that's what Israel's done. They woke up and act like they didn't do nothing, and then and wonder why they ain't growing further. And they ain't developing more. And why many of the things that they woke up to, they still ain't really doing. They only think they doing. And that's the worst place to be, when you think you're doing right, but you're not. You think you're telling the truth, and you're not. That's a terrible place to be. Somebody comes saying, man, that ain't the truth, man, and I can show you, man, that what you're doing is not accurate. And then all you gotta do is say, I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt what you're doing is not accurate. And they say, how? Show me what you're doing in the book.
That's right.
And then you're gonna see. They gonna see, but they ain't gonna over themselves. But then you gonna see, if you can't even bring it out the book, then how can you say it's accurate? And it's the truth. Yeah, you can say it's your truth, it's your accuracy. But if you can't, just show me that in the book. Show me that that's the truth. And then everybody can see it. And that's how simple it is. Truth ain't that hard. You just got to be bold. The scriptures say the wicked flee with no man pursue, but the righteous is as what?
Bold as a lion.
Because once you have something to stand on, you don't have to, what you scared of, man. You got something strong to stand on. All through the book it say one Elohim. So if somebody tell me to prove that, man, look, bang, 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 bang. I'm hitting them so much, man, they don't got time to say nothing else, because it's all over the book. It's all over the book. You said there ain't no Savior? Yeah. No Savior. None. Zero. Bang! Bang! And I'm showing them everywhere. No Savior. And then I start adding, no man can die for your sins. They didn't even ask about that. Right. And then I'm showing them there ain't no sacrifices either. And they ain't asked about that. So I'm showing them everywhere. Because when you got the truth, you can be bold. But when you don't have that, man, I ain't going to them conferences, man. No, man, them conferences ain't about nothing. That's the time to correct the nothings. That's the time. Any more comments and questions? Yes, ma'am.
Praise Yah.
Hallelujah.
And another thing about taking the Most High name in vain is that what I was saying earlier about being disobedient, and I guess in Exodus 23, 22, being disobedient to the Most High also.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The thing about being disobedient, the Almighty, not just, that's part of taking his name in vain, but he's saying you're just rebellious. You being rebellious, stiff-necked, hard-hearted, and which is all terrible also. Out of all the commandments the Creator told us about, and then wrote with his own finger, and said it out of his own mouth, he made this the third commandment. The third one that he would mention. And y'all know the first one, how big that one is. And you know the second one, how big that one is. And then he get to the third commandment, out of all his commandments, the ones that he wrote with his finger, And the ones he spoke out of his mouth, the third one is, thou shalt not take the name of Yah thy Elohim in vain. For Yah will not hold him guiltless that take his name in vain. So you know it's got to be, I mean, this is the top three. And so, you know, and it's essential that this name is known, talked about, and exalted. It's like essential. Everything, we'll show y'all how important this name thing is to the Most High. Sister Zahar.
As I was listening, we have a son. He's a Christian young minister, most stubborn and rebellious. And we were having the same conversation. And in our spirit, we were like, you know, you can't come back and live with us. And he couldn't understand. And we kept saying, we don't serve the same God as you. And it's going to cause conflict. Because whenever he comes to us, he's praying in the name of his deity. He's listening to the music despite what we said. And it was bothering me so much, but now I think I got it, because you can't live with us, because if you live with us and we have told you who we believe in, we have shown you the truth, you refuse to accept it, and so for you now coming and sharing, you can visit but sharing the space, we can no longer allow you in the space, because you're going to pull up the Creator's name every day, every single day. And so it's down to this point where we love you. We will always support you. We will visit you. We will help you find your own place. But we cannot share the same space, because you are willfully polluting the Creator's name and taking his name in vain. And we're just like, we don't want to, you know, can't do it. And it's a hard decision to make, you know. Because how could you do that to your son? But
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, sis. It's because as stated before, the Most High says, sanctify Yah himself. And let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Right. And so now, as our beloved brother Yohanatan said, it is seen mean, it is seen embarrassing, it is seen, it makes you feel a certain way, because you know you got to do something that's not going to be real popular. That most people are like, what? For that? They must be in the cult. Yep. They got to be in the cult, man. To believe and think like that. What religion would do that? Jehovah's Witnesses. What religion would do that? The Holiness Church. Just stop. Don't sanctify JC and see what they'll do. Come here. You don't have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to step out. You know. Well, what I gotta step out for? Yeah, you don't get it. You're not getting it. You know, they put you out. You know. And trust me, if somebody goes sit down and talk to them, they say you gotta get them out your house. Got a Mowreh coming in. Hallelujah. We just started. Praise the mighty Yah. Just started. Mowreh yourself in the house. And he came right on time. Just started. Yes, sir, Elder.
He told me to tell you earlier that he had to go find a phone, so that's partly on me.
Don't say no
He lost his phone.
We've been calling him, and then somebody else answered his phone.
Oh my goodness.
Look, that was a setup, though. It was a setup. Yeah, I know that's right. Praise God that Mowreh is here. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's good. Yes, ma'am.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Do you think too? I've been hearing people saying, "Would this take the name of the Most High in vain?" I heard people say like they don't believe in the God of the Bible, but they know it's a creator. So that's another way of taking the Most High name in vain.
Well, a lot of times people just don't know the Most High. It is, but they just don't know the Most High. And when you don't know the Most High, you'll say just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you say, "Well, I believe it's a God, but I don't think a God will care about what you eat."
Yep.
Well, mine do. the one I know, he actually cares. He actually do care. And so they'll just say anything, but you know, at the end of the day, they just don't know the one Elohim. That's where we come in at. Because we got to introduce them to the one Elohim. And they just don't know. And we got to be bold enough to show them what this all means. Now, we'll show y'all some scriptures, what it means to us to take the name of Yah, not Elohim in vain. For Yah will not hold him guiltless that take his name in vain. And we got to let yourself warm up a little bit. He just came in. So we go to Mowreh IshYAH. Yeah, everybody raised their hand. I think I heard from everybody. Yeah.
Praise mighty Yah.
Hallelujah.
You come on up too if you want. Yeah. Just share some things.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise mighty Yah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
We're on the dealing with what does it mean to take the Almighty's name in vain. And I agree with a lot of what everybody was saying. There's various ways we take the name of the Most High in vain. By swearing by his name falsely, by praying to other deities, by breaking his law. Yet, the way that we take Yah's name in vain is to reject the word of Yah spoken by his servant who comes in his name. And just let me show you, I'm just going to show you two scriptures. And go to the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter. In Amos, the 3rd chapter, if you read the 7th verse. Yes, please.
Amos 3:7 reads, "Surely Yah Elohim will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets."
Yeah, the scriptures is letting us know that Yah Elohim will do some things. Is that what it says?
No.
Do nothing.
It says, surely Yah Elohim will do nothing, but he revealed his secret unto his servants, the prophets. So, did Yahweh teach you face to face, sitting down at your chair at your house, that you shouldn't swear by his name falsely?
No.
Did Yahweh let you know that you shouldn't steal sitting in your house drinking a cup of coffee?
No.
Every word that Yah has revealed to his people, he used his servant to do it. So when you take Yah's name in vain, you're rejecting the word of Yah that he gave his servant to speak. Look in the book of Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter. And in Deuteronomy 18, start at the 17th verse.
Deuteronomy 18, verse 17 reads, And Yah said unto me, They have well spoken.
Hold on. People still flipping pages. At least you used to tell me when I was a reader, you got to listen out for the pages.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I'm still flipping pages. All right, 17th verse.
And Yah said unto me, They have well spoken, which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from amongst their brethren.
So the Most High let us know he's going to raise up a prophet from among our brethren. And this is one of the easiest ways to take Yah's name in vain.
Mm-hmm.
Because Yah said that you're supposed to love your brother. But we do, of course, the exact opposite. We hate each other. And so when your brother come and speak to you, all you saying is, that, who is you? You're not listening. You don't trust him. Your brother come to you in the name of Yah and say, man, Yah said to eat clean. We don't listen. But then we go and watch DVD or Netflix. You got your enemy telling you to eat clean. Now we want to listen. But he said he's going to raise up a prophet from among your brethren.
Like unto thee. And will put my words in his mouth.
And Yah said he's going to put my words in his mouth. He said, he did not say he's going to send the servant to put the servant is going to come up with stuff. That he's going to be doctor and esquire and whatever else. But the words that the servant Yah raised up would have Yah's word in his mouth. Mm-hmm.
And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words,
if you don't listen to the words of Yah,
which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
Meaning he will not hold you guiltless. He will not let you off the hook. Because he sent his servant to speak his words in his name. And therefore, if you hate your brother, you already lost. Because you're not going to respect anything he says. And he comes and speak in the name of the Most High, and it don't matter what he says. So we don't realize the detriment that we're doing to ourselves by just ignoring your own people. And Yah didn't say he's going to raise up Japhet to speak the word of Yah to his people. He didn't say he's going to raise up Ham. He didn't say he was going to raise up Javan or Misraim. He said he's raising up Israel. And Israel must restore Israel. So you have to listen to Israel. And if you don't, that's how I see you taking the name of Yah in vain, is when you reject his word that comes from his servant. Because every law, everything that Yah has revealed, he has done it through his servant. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Any questions? Comments?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Give glory and praise to the Most High Yah.
Hallelujah.
This particular verse, I see other camps and compounds utilize this verse.
You talking about Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter? Yes.
This verse talking about J.C. Wade in the
Yeah.
New Testament. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, a lot of different religions will take this verse. A lot of people in the Christian religion will take Deuteronomy 18 and they'll say that's talking about the Christ of the New Testament. Some of them will say it's talking about John the Baptist. But they're all wrong, because this scripture is specifically speaking about how Yahweh deals with his servant. And this Deuteronomy 18 is the law of how to deal with Yah's servant, of how Yah is speaking to his people. So it's a very important law, and it's something that's just not itemized in some kind of religious context. But yeah, Christianity uses it. Of course, Islam uses it for Muhammad. The Nation of Islam uses it for Elijah Muhammad. Some Israelites use it for other Israelite teachers. But Yahweh uses it for one thing and one thing only, that's his servant. And it says servants. It doesn't just say servant.
Right.
It says servants, meaning he's not just raising up one person. Yes, sir. Any other comments or questions, anybody, about this? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Yah is righteous.
Yah is righteous.
Yah is holy.
And Yah is holy.
Let Yahweh be magnified.
And let Yahweh be magnified.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And just to reiterate some of the things that he brought out, and I didn't hear everything he brought out, but if you go to the book of Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, and this is what it says in the book of Proverbs 3, the 32nd verse. So start at 31 though.
Proverbs 3 verse 31 reads, Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
How many is his ways?
None.
Yeah, we got to know who the oppressor is. If we don't know who the oppressor is and we just listening to the oppressor as if he, we got to know who the oppressor is. And let me tell you who the oppressor is. The oppressor are the religious bodies. Who you think oppress us into the ideologies and the beliefs that we have today?
That's right.
Is the oppressor. We didn't become Christians willingly. We became Christians forcefully. We didn't become Muslims here. They didn't give us a pamphlet. You know what I'm saying? No, they forced us into Islam.
That's right.
And likewise with Judaism and the rest of all the other religions of the earth. Judaism didn't come down with a sword on us, but they did trick us through all their various works. And why did they do it? They did it to make the name of Israel cease from being remembered. And why? What you think the almighty name is? He called himself the Holy One of what?
Israel.
So they take away that great name, and he said, everyone that's called by what?
My name.
My name. And so this is one of the ways that they constructed to destroy us. That's why it says, the oppressor, man, don't choose none of his ways. That's what the scriptures say. We just haven't had the courage, the fortitude, the unity that it takes to stand against the oppressor. We'll stand against him if they shoot one of our sons and daughters in our community. We'll stand against him if we seem to be discriminated against in our community. But we don't stand against him when it comes to our religion. That's the number one thing he did.
That's right.
To cause the name to be remembered no more. Now, imagine this. Not only he did it with us, can y'all only imagine what they did to the Most High? Do you realize all these Bibles, they took the name out of the book?
That's right.
That's the only reason there's confusion today.
That's right.
They took the name out and put Lord thy God. Now nobody know what the name is. And then when we go back to see what this name is, then not only that, then they changed, and when we go back, then now they done manipulated with vowels.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, man, wait, hold up, man. It wasn't no vowel system and all this type of stuff, and we pronouncing a name like this. They said, well, we had to do that because his name is too holy to be pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you know it? Yeah. You pronounce it? Yeah. So what about us? If it's too holy for us to pronounce it, shouldn't it be too holy for them to pronounce it?
Right.
And that's why it's very vital what Mowreh IshYAH talked about. That's why he said he will raise unto thee a prophet from among who? Your brethren. Why? Because they speak the same language. They come from the same family. In other words, you're not going to be surprised, or you shouldn't be surprised or shocked that one of your brothers coming to you saying such and such and such. He didn't raise up no strange person in Israel. He brought Moses to his own family, to Israel, saying this. But Moses just wanted to have all his I's dotted and T's crossed. And why? Because he know the people he was dealing with. And man, they're going to ask me, what's your name? And Almighty knew who he was dealing with. And Almighty didn't say, look, here, this is my name. Tell him this. The Almighty said, now what's that with you? That staff. You throw it down, it's going to become a serpent. And then when you do this, and do that, and do this, because you got to show our people things. You just can't talk. You got to show them things. Now, if you're an oppressor, you can just show them things, and they're going to believe it. But if you their own brethren, I had one of my good friends here in Atlanta, I mean, real good friend of mine. And I took the word of Yah to him. I said, man, look, this is that, bang, bang, bang. He said, man, I love you. He said, you my man. He said, you my man. He said, but why you bringing this to me? He said, why don't you take it to the Pope? take this thing to Prophet Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, take it to Farrakhan. Why don't you talk to them? They the big boys. Why you bringing it to me? I said, because you Israel.
That's right.
You Israel.
That's right.
He said, but I don't know this thing, man. Take it to the people who know. I said, man, they ain't not going to listen. And I can see right now, you ain't either. But we still boys, but watch what it says. 32nd verse.
For the froward is an abomination to Yah, but his secret is with the righteous.
Yeah, his secret is with the righteous, so the Almighty is not taking his name to just everybody. No, he's not doing that. That's just like you don't just take your name to just any and everybody. Because they'll say any kind of thing in your name. And the Almighty know the same. That's why the Almighty, a lot of people used to believe, because of religion and the oppressor, the Almighty was just a spirit. Well, he just a spirit. Like that's something real big and amazing. He's just a spirit. Why are you trying to celebrate that? You ain't just a spirit.
Right.
You more than just a spirit. And the Almighty said he made us in his image and his what?
Likeness.
And so you more than just that. The spirits, which they did have a likeness. Somebody can see them, touch them. And here it is, the scriptures say his secret, but his secret is with the who? So he's only talking to righteous people, righteous individuals that will represent him in the right way. Because everything about the Most High is right. It's about righteousness. It's about being right. And he just wants to be represented right. So he don't want nobody come talking about my name is this, that, and the other. And I ain't even talked to these people. But yet they saying this. Watch this in the book of Jeremiah 23. And then y'all can understand why we teach the way we teach. In the book of Jeremiah 23, and we're just dealing with what does it mean to take the Most High name in vain? In Jeremiah the 23rd chapter, the 16th verse.
Thus saith Yah of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain.
Now look, it's not just you're vain. Oftentimes the people who's teaching you make you vain. They make you vain because you believe in vain things. With the thought that these are holy things, with these things, vain means this stuff don't mean nothing. It just don't mean nothing. But they making you think it does mean something. Continue reading.
They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yah.
Now, these visions that they're speaking about are not out of the mouth of Yah, because if they're out of the mouth of Yah, these things can be verified. They can be witnessed to. They can be authenticated. How? Well, out of his word. Well, where did that come from? Well, out of his mouth. And so we can do this. But what's going on is, 17th verse.
They say still unto them that despise me, Yah have said, ye shall have peace. And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. For who have stood in the counsel of Yah, and have perceived, and heard his word? Who have marked his word, and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Yah is going forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the heads of the wicked. The anger of Yah shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfect.
Yeah, we're in the latter days. You're going to consider all these things perfectly. Because at the end of the day, this is what you have to ask yourself, because this is what Yah's saying. In the, read the 20 or the 30th and the 31st verse.
Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yah, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yah, that use their tongues and say, he saith.
Yeah, the Almighty said he's against these people talking about I said. Where did I say this at? If I said it, it's in my word. And if it's in my word, it came out of my mouth. Where I say you can eat shrimp, catfish, lobster, oysters, where I say that at? Where did I say all you got to do is pray over it and it's going to be all right? Y'all know what the Almighty say about prayer? Well, let me show y'all. In the book of Proverbs, the 28th chapter. So what is the bottom line? Well, I won't say the bottom line because Yehoshua also will chime in on this subject. Proverbs 28. And watch what this says. The 4th and the 5th verse. No, the verse I want is in Proverbs 28 is
Verse 9.
yeah, verse 9. That's it.
Proverbs 28, verse 9 reads, He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination.
Now, in other words, your whole prayer is an abomination just because you don't even want to hear the what?
Lord.
Now, how many Israelites have you talked to that just refuse to hear the law? They don't even want to talk about the law. Man, I'm not traveling just to talk about differences. Well, that's the law. The only reason we talk about differences is because that's ordained by the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know that, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Why you think the Almighty called us His witnesses? Because there are going to be those who witness for Him, and there will be those who witness for someone else. And that's what the Creator let us know in the book of Isaiah, the 43rd chapter. He said, but ye are my witnesses. He said, gather all the people together and let them say that this is true.
That's right.
And here it is, you got a lot of people that don't want to say it, so they will reject coming together, which means they rejecting the law, because that's the law. Even their prayer is an abomination unto the Most High. And that's all you got to ask them, well, why are you not coming together? Ain't that the law? If that's the law, and you know it's the law, and you still not doing it, people talking about don't let nobody pray for them. Don't think about the people who's serving something else. Think about the people who's supposed to be serving the same thing as you.
That's right.
And they still refuse.
That's right.
Because the scripture says, he that turneth his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is a what?
An abomination.
And that makes sense to me. Because you might as well keep another religion. If you turn your ear from the law, how you going to know right from wrong and you don't even want to hear the law?
Mm.
And this is what's going on. And how do you know the law? How do you learn the law? How do the law come to us? Well, the Creator lets us know concerning His laws, concerning His statutes, His commandments, His judgments. Just like we read in Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, the Creator lets us know that He's against them that steal His words and say what?
I said.
Yeah, He said. Y'all said this. Y'all said this. All right, well, if y'all said, and I'm just using examples, I'm not picking on nobody, but I'm just using examples because I want y'all to understand what Yah is saying. They might say, well, yes, somebody can die for your sins. Okay, where did Yah say that at? And you just sit there and wait. Where did Yah say that? Well, really, there is a Savior. Okay, good. Where did Yah say that? Now, you know it don't say it. But they believe that. But they'll steal Yah's word the Most High words and then say he said it. And then let's talk about people who keep the law. Well, it's 13 months. Okay, where did y'all say that? I got time. Man, it's 29 days. Well, where did he say that in? It's just, no, you're supposed to take the sliver on the right side. Where did he say that at? Right. It don't matter what just come out there. Where did he say that? Right. You just can't take his words and then steal them and then say what you say and make it be his. At the end of the day, where did he say it? That's all we want to know. Just where he said it. And if you can't tell us the very things that you say he said, then you take it his name in vain. Because you know he didn't say it. Because if you knew he said it, then you should be able to show me he said it. You should be able to show me. That's like saying, man, so-and-so, man, he did such and such and such. What, you seen it? No, I mean, I wasn't there, but how can you? We just can't make up things. And look who the Creator sent us. He said he will do nothing but what he first revealed unto his servants, the what? Prophets. So in other words, when the Creator deals with his name, he's dealing very specifically with not only a select group, but select individuals. Select group, and amongst that group, select individuals. Particular individuals that he himself has chosen. And once the Creator deal with them in terms of his word, in terms of his name, because, and this is real essential that you understand this, because the scriptures say Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they didn't know him by a certain name. They just knew him by the Most High. But that's his name. They just knew him by the Almighty. But that's his name. So if somebody came in the name of the Almighty, they got my attention. But now let's see his words. If somebody came in the name of Yah, oh, you got my attention. If somebody came in the name of Lord thy God, then I might question you a little bit longer, because you might just don't know. Or if they came in the name of Jehovah, well, you might not know it, but I want to hear this. Because where'd you get this at? I remember years ago, me and Yehoshua, we had a good friend of ours, and he was a Jehovah's Witness, diehard. And we was growing up, and we didn't know the Almighty like we know him today. And we were new in this, and we trying to teach our friends and tell them, you know, about the Most High. And he said, well, do you know the Most High name? I said, yeah. It's Yahweh. And he said, no, I'll show you. In the book. And he took us to Psalm 83, and it said real big, Jehovah. And he closed the book. Closed the book on us.
It's a true story.
Yeah. And like, look, you said you know. Hey, I just showed you didn't know nothing. You know. And what can I say? I'm coming in this knowledge new, and I see Jehovah, and ain't nothing I can do. What I'm gonna do? Now I see my friend, and you know, don't close that yet now.
Right.
Don't close that.
Right.
And we got some things let me show you, you know. But he closed the book, and we wasn't as good as we are today, you know. And that's how they do. They take you to little things like that. But his name is, and I just show y'all a couple scriptures, and then we're going to go to Yehoshua. Watch this. In the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter. As many things is wrong with our nation and with our people today, you would think that we will be running to get together to know the truth. We'd be fighting to get in the room. But not Israel. They gonna come up with a reason, a way, where, man, talking about the name of the Almighty, we done did that, man. I don't got time to be talking about that. I don't got time to be talking about that no more. Man, we done talked about the law, man. We don't got time for that no more. Man, we done talked about coming together, man. We got now, man. I'm getting me a little farm and we just doing it. So in other words, that's people who done got pissed off, and can I say that word? Let me say it right, mad. People done got mad and they tired and they just don't want to argue no more and debate. That's all we do is talk about our differences so we can serve the one Elohim. How you gonna serve the one Elohim and you all mixed up? It's just you can't do it. Show you how great a name is. Watch this. Or show you how great it is to the Most High. This is what he said in the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter. First two verses.
Genesis 12, verse 1 reads, Now Yah had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
Yeah, and you're going to be a blessing. He said, I'm going to make your name great. And why? Because his name is great.
That's right.
And the Almighty, look, a name to the Most High is way deeper than it is to our people. He had a whole house built for his what?
Name.
He said, there's only one place where I want everybody to come, because that's the place I chose to place my what?
Name.
See, the way we see a name is not the way Yah sees a name. Here it is. We argue, man, why we got to go down to the white man's court to change our name? And here it is. The Almighty got a whole city dedicated to his name. A whole sanctuary, temple dedicated to his name. He got a whole people dedicated to his name. He said, man, I'm going to send an angel with you, but don't make him mad because my name is what?
It's in him.
It's in him. Because the way Yah sees a name is different than the way we see a name. Why do you think he said, thou should not take the name of Yah thy Elohim in what?
Vain.
And Yah would not hold him guiltless that take his name in vain. Because the way we see a name is totally different than the way he sees it. He said, I'm going to make your name what? Great. And thou shalt be a what?
Blessing.
Thou shalt be a blessing. One more thing. Go to the book of Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter. We about finished with the name. Then we're going to get real specific about what is his name.
Oh, we didn't, what is his name or taking his name in vain?
Taking his name in vain. We'll let you finish off on that unless you just want to go to the other.
No, I want to give it that a little bit.
All right.
Mowreh.
Yes.
So we still in taking name in vain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, in the book of Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, because this is what oftentimes you'll hear. Zephaniah 3:20, what do it say?
And at that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gathered you.
And this is talking about when the Almighty going to gather us and take us home.
For I will make you a name and a praise amongst all people of the earth.
He's going to make us a what?
A name.
Make us a name. That's like number one.
Right.
Why do you think he changed Abram to Abraham?
That's right.
Yaakov to Israel.
That's right.
Sarai to Sarah. He said, I'm going to make you a name. Because that's like first and foremost, that's where the Almighty started. He started at your name. Because that's what you're going to be known by. That's what you're going to carry with you. That's who you are. That's what you represent.
Heritage.
Yes, that's your inheritance. And that's what he leads by his name. Now, he said in the scripture, his glory is above his name. So y'all, or his word is above his name. His word is above his name. Which means this, that the very first thing the Almighty wants you to know, even if you don't know his name, is his word. And then, where do you think you're going to learn his name from?
His word.
That's why he wants you to know his word. Above everything. Because that's where his name is. It's in the word. It's in the word. And all we got to do is learn the word. And pay homage to the word. And be one with the word. And then we're going to know everything else. Including his name. That's where it starts. And so he said he's going to make us a name and a praise. And what else?
A name and a praise amongst all people of the earth.
All people of the earth.
When I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yah.
Says Yah. In other words, this thing is going to be, we don't understand what a name represents. And, but if we believe in the Most High, we will see a name as he see a name. See, we seen it from our point of view. Now we got to see it like he see it. And he see a name as something precious, something holy, something great, something magnified. And so if you're gonna represent him, you got to know him. You got to know his name. These things, a name is big to the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And then Yehoshua.
Giving all praises to the Most High. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
He also gave us names, as we talked about.
Yeah.
And so, I think, when you go to Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, the 14th verse.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You actually start at the 13th verse. Well, 13.
1 and 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ecclesiastes 1 verse 13 reads, And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail have Elohim given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit.
And so I think, if you go, the fact that everything we do other than serving the Most High, he says, I show you, man, what is good, what God requires of you, to do justly, to love mercy, and walk humbly with Yah. And so everything we do other than that is just vanity.
Right.
And so when we take on his name, whether we change our name or he gives us a name, you just speaking on it, we also take on the the law. We take on the requirements of that name. We take on the meaning of that name. Not just the meaning of what the meaning of that name, but the fact that we're taking on Yah's name. We're representing Yah. So everything we do as we walk in this world, it has to be according to Yah's word. And that's why I think his word is above his name. Because as you just said, we can't do those things and represent Yah's name if we don't know his word. And so that's why the word comes first. Because it's obviously important. If you go to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, the 12th and 13th verse.
Conclusion.
Ecclesiastes 12:12, it reads, "And further, by these, my son, be admonished, of making many books there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man."
Right, and when he says that, anything we do other than that is going back to the first chapter, is just vanity.
Right.
And anything we do other than that will be taking Yah's name in vain. If you plan on taking the name of Israel and doing anything other than what Yah requires of you, then you'd be taking his name in vain.
Well, you're absolutely right, and people don't realize how important it is. The truth of the matter is this. It takes commitment and dedication to study the word of the Almighty. It takes commitment and dedication just to sit in his room. And your legs get a little crampy, get a little sleepy, nod off a little bit. That's okay, because it takes commitment and it takes discipline. And the Almighty wants us to be disciplined and know not only his name, but what it takes not to take his name in vain. And you read something important that I don't want to escape not only the people that are listening in this room, but also the people that's listening online, is that anytime that you don't put the Almighty word above everything else, then you already have sinned. And how do I know that to be true? Well, you just read it in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, the 12th verse, 12th and 13th verse. Because our whole objective is to do what? Fear Elohim and do his what? Commandments. And it's not this one, is what? Commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yah, thy Elohim, in vain. Because the truth of the matter is, we don't realize how much we take it in vain. And, we used to put it on every letter that we sent out to the leadership. And Mowreh IshYAH said it earlier. It said, it just escaped me. So the righteous is bold as a lion.
Yeah,
the wicked flee when no man pursue it, and the righteous is what? Bold as a lion. And I remember when we were putting the first conference together. Mowreh IshYAH emphatically said, "Hey, this got to be on the letter." And there was two things that had to be on the letter. It was that and Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter.
Yes.
Gather thyself together, O nation, not to what? Desire. And it's vitally important for us to what? Gather ourselves together. We should try to make it every attempt possible to gather with our people when it comes to the law. Because this is supposed to be what? Our life and the length of our what? Days. That's how important it is. And let me show y'all something dealing with this same topic about taking the Almighty name in vain. In the book of Isaiah, the 43rd chapter, I want to read this. I want you to read that very first verse for me. Because we don't realize how important the mission that we are on. And the majority of people don't realize the fact that this is ordained by who? The Most High. In Isaiah, the 43rd chapter, the first verse states,
"But now thus saith Yah, that created thee, O Yaakov, and he that formed thee, O YIsraEL. Fear not,
He said, listen, I want y'all to understand this. He said, now thus said Yah, that created thee, or who? Yaakov. And what did he do with Yaakov?
Formed thee.
He formed him, but even before that, he did what? He changed his name from Yaakov to what? Israel. But he said he formed thee. What else he said?
Fear not.
Fear not. Because I have what? Redeemed thee. I've called thee by what? Thy name. Right. Thou art what? Mine. This is the kinship that we have with the Most High. And when he made that kinship with us, and he made us his people, and him our power, our Most High, our Creator, then each and every time that we live our lives and we do something contrary to what he tells us to do, we taking his name in what? Vain. Because it's vanity. And the Almighty wants you and I to understand this. See, when you become a servant of the Almighty, you have to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to do what? The law. And one of the laws is for us to what? Gather yourself what? Together. And what do you want us to gather together for? Well, I'm going to show you. In these same verses, I want you to go all the way down to the 7th verse. No, start at the 3rd verse.
For I am Yah, thy Elohim, the Holy One of Yisrael, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Sabbath for thee.
See, the Almighty wants you to know how precious and important that you are, and that you have a big responsibility. And he wants you to know how precious you are, and how he loved you so much that he wants you to understand this. Watch this. Go ahead.
Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee, and people for thy life.
Go ahead.
Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east, and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth.
Now, don't y'all realize and understand that he's talking about us in what? Captivity? Mm-hmm. That we the ones who the Almighty scattered us through the four corners of the earth, and now he has to do what? Gather us. Yes, that's right. And part of that gathering, he wants you to know this. Watch this. Go ahead.
Even everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him. Yea, I have made him.
You know, some Israelite brothers tell me, he said, listen, because we was talking about how great a name is, and it's how important that we take on the name of the Almighty that he has given us. And a group of Israelite brothers told me, well, brother, that can be very dangerous. And see, we can live this way and also have one foot in the nation and 1 foot out of the nation. So I don't think it's prudent for us at this time to take on the name of the Almighty or any of his names. That's why I keep my slave name, my heathen name, so I can always, be protected. Now, this wasn't just one individual, it was a group of brothers. That's what they told me. And it lets me know right then and there, at that moment, at that time, and this was maybe about 10 years ago, that the Almighty wasn't with them. Even though they're Israelites, even though they Torah-based, even though they say they serve the Almighty, I realized at that moment and at that time that the Almighty Spirit can't be with these people. And because they don't realize where the true protection come from. It says, go ahead, continue reading. 8th verse.
Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. Let all the nations be gathered together.
Let them all be gathered. Bring them together. It's all about the what? The gathering. Mm-hmm. The very thing that we make the calling out 3 times a year. It's the calling. The word gathering means calling. And we want, and it's our job to gather the what? The people together. How in the world are you going to gather? How would it look like me teaching one thing, you teaching another thing, and then we go buy 40 acres of land. Then we're gonna go out on that land, and then we're gonna pick some officers or some judges and some people to be in charge. And it's about 100 of us. And then we're gonna erect this building over here. Then we're gonna erect the building over there for you. Then we're gonna erect the building over there for them, for the other families that gather us together. But we ain't sat down and talk about the law. What do you think's gonna happen?
During the week, we're gonna be fine. On the Sabbath day, we're gonna go our separate ways.
Right. Exactly. Because we're gonna be straight during the weekday, because during the weekdays, we minimize those days, and they say, hey, you know, we can do secular things, we can do this, we can do that. Mm-hmm. We just won't talk about it. Yeah. We just won't deal with it. But on the Sabbath day, at first it's gonna be what? Too much contention. Because we're all teaching 10 different things. Then it's gonna get to the point where the contention is we just really can't be together. Then we're gonna say, well, I'm gonna take this 10 over here and you take that 10 over there. And then we just get together on the high holy days. And then when the high holy days come, then you know what's gonna happen?
Some more contention.
Some more contention. That's why the Almighty said, well, instead of doing all that, just bring forth the blind people that have what? Eyes, and the deaf that have what? Ears. And let all the nations be gathered what?
Together.
Together. The very thing that we asked them people to come here in our 25th year anniversary, what? To do. That's why I'm sharing this with y'all, so you all can know this is ordained by who? The Almighty. These are not our words. This is not our teaching. This ain't something we just happen to come up with to want to do. The Almighty put it in the minds and the thoughts and the spirit of a prophet named Mowreh IshYAH, and he was a prophet, and most people don't know it and realize it and understand it. But he was a prophet of the Almighty, and I can prove he was a prophet. And he put it on his mind to start this, and gave him the vision and the revelation to do this thing. To gather the people to come together for the very purpose to do what? Talk about differences. Differences.
And learn.
And we want to run from that. And I remember when we talked about this thing years ago, I'm going to tell you how beautiful it was. Because we decided at that conference, and it was all kind of leaders, and we was in Cincinnati, Ohio. And they was from New York, Chicago, they was all over the place. And the leadership said, it's right there in front of us. We were sitting there praying, bowing, prostrating ourselves, opening up, and it's like a light bulb. And of course, we already knew what that light bulb was, but they saw it too. And because we all said what? We praying. When everybody pray, what do they say?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And we said it so loud, we shook the building. And it was so beautiful. And the energy was so strong. And they said, we already got our answer. When we come together, and we start calling on Almighty, we all going to collectively say what? Yeah. And we did. Now, if you look on YouTube and internet, all you got to do is look at some of the brothers who that have a different ideology or perspective than we do. It's so beautiful. I hear them all the time talking about, praise the mighty Yah. Where do you think that came from? Our conferences. From the house of Israel. Not to say we're taking credit for it, but to say that the influences that these gatherings have done over Israel over the years, and you know, people minimize them, but they've been very great. But we got to continue to have the mindset that we have to do what? Come together. Because the Almighty wants us to realize and understand something very important. I want you to read that 9th verse again in its entirety.
Let all the nations be gathered together.
Let them all be gathered together?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And let the people be assembled.
And also let who? The people be what? Assembled. Go ahead.
Who amongst them can declare this?
Who among this can declare this?
And show us former things.
Or show us the former things. Who can do this? The Most High. And he reveals that to what? His servants. And he revealed it through his what?
Word.
His word. Watch this. Go ahead.
Let them bring forth their witnesses.
Let every nation, let all the people come together and have a forum to bring forth their what?
Witnesses.
Their witnesses
That they may be justified.
So they can be justifying what they're teaching and what they're doing. But nobody don't want to come together, because if they come together, they're afraid they're going to be exposed for what? The very thing that they what? Teaching. Because they know they have to what? Prove it. See, we're not going to stand up here and gather the people together if we at minimum want to be right. And if you love your brother as you say you do, and your sister as you say you do, you want them to go down the right what? Path. And the only way you can do that unless you what? Come together. Gather yourself together. That they be justified, and let them hear and say it is what? Truth. Now, let me see your truth. Let me show you my truth. And it's way to balance out. And say, okay, here's my evidence. Here's my witnesses. Here's your evidence. Here's your witnesses. And then now we can do what?
We can come together.
We can weigh it out. And see which one is what? True. It's not that difficult. But you got to be willing to do what?
Come together.
Come together. And anybody that tell you that, we done that. I'm tired of that. All you have to do is ask the Most High, is he tired of us? Oh, you don't say that in the mirror when you look in the mirror. Most High, I know you're tired of me, don't worry about that. Most High, I know you promised to take me home, but I ain't going home, don't worry about that. Most High, it's okay, I'm just a sinner. No. I just want to go to the grave sinning, don't worry about it. No, you ain't going to say that. Because you want to be what? Redeemed. You want to know the what? Truth. And the righteous definitely want to know the what? The truth. Go ahead, Ashum, you had a comment?
Yes, and what I was going to say, Mowreh, is that most of the teachers, what I feel is that they just don't want to come together because they're going, like you said, they're going to be proven a lie. Because the witnesses that they have, the Most High showed us that we need 2 or more. Well, then they showing 1 and maybe showing 2 and say, ain't that what it said? Don't they say that? And it's just not the truth, you know what I'm saying? And the more what I have become, once I became an Israelite, once I met you guys, I found out that the truth is always consistent and it stays straight. So when I ask people things and I ask them to show me their witnesses, they might give me 1, but then that's it. You know what I'm saying? They don't give me any more witnesses because the Most High told us that 2 or more, you know what I'm saying? That's right. Yeah. You have witnesses then. And then he said, you are a witness as well. Right. So we got the heavens, the earth, Israel, and then we got, what is it? King David.
He's a witness. He's a witness too.
There it is. Praise God.
Praise God. And what you're saying is so important because let me share something with you all. In the book of Isaiah, the 44th chapter, we're going to start reading at the first verse, but before we start reading, at the end of the day, we just want the truth. We do. We just want the truth. We want to make sure we're going down the right path. We want to make sure that we are doing everything to protect ourselves from the anger and indignation that the Almighty about to bring on this earth. And if you don't know that's what he's about to do, he is. That's right. And he's about to judge. And we want to be in the right place at the right time. We want to be right spiritually. We want to be walking uprightly. And we want to make sure that our people know the truth. That's right. And he commissioned us as leaders to tell the people what? The truth. And y'all don't realize that each and every day that you walk, the other 6 days of the week, is vitally just as important as the what? Sabbath day. That's right. Because those are the days that you more likely going to take the Almighty name in what? In vain. Yes, sir. What's your hand up?
Yeah, giving all glory and praise and honor to the Most High YAH'H by saying hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And we're going to be breaking in about 15 minutes.
Is that why when you go back to, that worries me, Ecclesiastes 12 chapter when it says, too much study is weariness of the mind? Because you're constantly thinking on the Most High.
But let me tell you what he's talking about when he speaks to that. See, what our people and Solomon realized, when the scriptures say, much study is weariness of the flesh, it is. But see, well, you know what he's not telling you not to study his word, but you know what he's telling you? Many books. See, what happens is our people want to take something else to explain what we read. It don't mean that. So they're gonna get another book to explain what? The word of the Almighty. For example, if you want to know the word of the Almighty, the very first thing most scholars say that you have to learn what? Hebrew. If that was true, none of us would be here.
That's right.
Don't y'all realize that? We know that. You know that can't be true. That's the very first thing they tell you.
That's right.
And then the next thing they tell you that you need to learn what? History. We got the greatest history in the world. So they're going to go tell you to get this book over here. And they're going to tell you to get this book over there. And see, the Almighty said, what happens is we get so caught up in vain things and not Him. And that's why it become what? Weariness. Because we studied everything but what? The very word that He what? Gave us. That's why I said much study is what? Weariness in the flesh. Because we studied everything but what His word say. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. We're in the book of Isaiah, the 44th chapter, start at the first verse.
It reads, Yet now hear, O Yaakov, my servant, and Yisrael, whom I have chosen.
He wants you to hear, He wants you to hearken, go ahead.
Thus saith Yah, that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Yaakov, my servant, and thou, O Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring.
I want you to stop there because I went there for a specific reason. And I want you to read that again one more time for me, Obadiah, because I don't want this to escape people. Because this escape most people. Most people think they can just pick up the book and start what? Reading and doing what? Understanding. Right. They think they can pick up the book just like any other novel, any other text that they read, and then boom, they got it. But the Almighty says something in this that I want to see y'all in the third verse. And I want y'all to highlight this. Read that again.
For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty.
Go ahead.
And floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring.
Don't you realize if the Almighty don't give you water to drink, and He don't pour His spirit upon you, you can be reading this all day long. I know people don't read this from the beginning to the what? The end. And they still don't what? Get it. He has, and how can you determine whether the Almighty put His spirit on somebody? And it's not that difficult. But continue reading. He's going to share something with us. 4th verse.
And they shall spring up as amongst the grass, as willows by the watercourse.
What you think is going to happen when you pour what? Water on something, it makes it what? Spring up. It makes it what? Grow. Go ahead.
One shall say, I am Yah's, and another shall call himself by the name of Yaakov, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yah, and surname himself by the name of Yisrael.
You know this is so vitally important, and we minimize this. We don't take this seriously. You know, he said one shall call himself by the name of who? Yah. And another shall call himself by the name of what? Yaakov. Now, why is he calling himself by the name of Yaakov? Who knows? Any idea? One going to say that Yah, and another going to call himself by the name of what? Jacob. Yaakov. And then another one's going to do what? Three different conditions. Subscribe his name unto Yah, and then what? Surname himself by the name of what? YIsraEL. Now, what is the difference in the three? Anybody have any idea?
Blessing.
That is true.
Commitment.
How?
Commitment and understanding.
Commitment and understanding. That's true too as well.
Is it the 12 tribes of Jacob and then the
YAH himself.
And before I tell y'all the answer, the Almighty wants us to know something vitally important here. Because he's talking about three different things. The first thing he says is that one shall say, I am who? The Most High. Now, who said it, the Most High?
He said, I am Yah.
He said, I am Yah, I'm sorry. One shall say, I am Yah. Who is that?
His children.
Who?
His people.
His people?
He says, I belong to Yah. I'm Yah's.
Another shall call himself by the name of what?
Jacob.
Jacob. So one is the Most High, right? Because he said, one say, I am Yah. Correct?
Yah's.
And then another shall come call himself by the name of what? Jacob. So he's identifying what? Who he is. Is that not true? And then the other one is going to take it another level and he's going to do what? He's going to scribe himself. He's going to do what? He's going to write. And then he's going to do what? Surname himself what? YIsraEL. A name is so vitally important. And it's important that we know and we recognize that the Almighty wants us at one junction of our life do both. Because at one time we were considered what? That too, but no. Another one, we was unknown. We didn't know. We didn't know the Most High. We didn't recognize him as we do today. And what we call that dead Jacob today.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jacob don't realize Jacob have not went to his full what? Potential. Until the Almighty changed his name to what? YIsraEL. Even though Jacob was what? Jacob was a righteous man. The Almighty put his spirit upon who? Jacob. And even Jacob had a relationship with the Almighty. But then the Almighty took Jacob to what? A whole different level. When he changed his name. Because now he made a covenant and a bond even stronger than the bond and covenant that he had before. And that's what we have to do. And when we take on this great name, YIsraEL, and we write it and we subscribe it, now we saying we what? We read it in Isaiah the 43rd chapter.
Yeah, we his witnesses.
We his witnesses. Yeah. And see, everybody can't witness for the Most High. And the Almighty don't want everybody to what? Witness. See, everybody just can't witness just because they're Israel, or say they're Israelites. They can't witness for the Almighty. You know why? The Almighty, number one, have to pour his spirit upon you, right? Did we just read that? Mm-hmm. And then they also have to subscribe themselves and write their name to be what? YIsraEL, because now you sealing the deal. Now you're a bona fide witness. And everybody is not bona fide witnesses. They're just not. So when we gather the people together, we gather them under the name of what? YIsraEL, the house of Israel. IshiYAH said something earlier that this ain't something that we just came up with. This is because of what the Almighty called us. Mm-hmm. This is what the book say. Mm-hmm. This is what he wants us to call ourselves. So when we represent the Almighty, not only as individuals, as a people, that name is so great. Everything that we do, and when we do it wrong, and then we teach somebody something in error, don't y'all know we taking the Almighty name in vain? Is that serious?
That's right.
That's why we have to be serious, and we got to be dedicated, and we got to be committed. Yes, sir. I saw your hand up.
How many witnesses are there?
So Almighty has 7 witnesses that I know of.
The Urim, with breastplate, Israel, heaven's earth, King David, Israel, and prophets.
You said a lot there. But we're going to talk about your witnesses. Alumia, did they tell you? We're going to work anyway. Okay. Yeah, we do. All The last thing on this particular topic about taking the name of the Almighty in vain is that the Almighty name is great, and we're gonna get it that when we come back from the break. The name is so important, and so it has to be delicate, because too often we do things out of our zeal. And let me explain that right quick. You know when people first, a lot of times come into this way of the law, the way of the Most High, and they do a lot of things, and they attach the Almighty name to everything. And I mean everything. And they don't realize how set apart it is. And they don't realize how sacred it is. And they don't realize that this name is not only holy, sanctified, and set apart, and you got to take it with that same care, because it's that important. Because anyone who takes his name in vain, they're going to be held guilty. And it's important that we understand that, because that name is just that great. And I'll let IshiYAH come up, say a few words, and then we're going to take a break. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And I just want one scripture, just to reiterate what Yahushua was saying in Isaiah 42. Because Yahushua was letting it be known how important it is for us. And I mean, the bottom line is mandated as YAH'S witnesses to bring forth our witnesses. We don't ask people to show things just because we want to see it, but that's what the Almighty said. Show forth your witnesses, that you might be justified and say it is true. But this is the other thing the Creator wants his people to do. And it's in Isaiah 42. 21st and the 22nd verse. What do we say?
It reads, Yah is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable.
How will he do that? Well, he's going to magnify the law and make it honorable. He do it through his people, his servants. That's what they're here for. To magnify. Nobody else is. Nobody else will. So he have his servants to do that. And that's how he's going to magnify the law, and this is how he's going to make it honorable. But watch this 22nd verse.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
So we can understand why people is not doing this, because this is a people robbed and spoiled.
They are all of them snared and holes.
Yeah, they trapped. They trapped. Right? They in all kind of traps.
And they are hid in prison houses.
And they all locked up, all in prison houses. No wonder you don't hear the unadulterated word of Yah. No wonder you don't just hear the pure word of the Most High, because everybody is locked up. They all trapped, snared, and holes.
Right.
They are for a prey.
They for a prey.
And none delivered.
In other words, there are some that's not locked up. There are some that's not spoiled. But it says they are for a prey, and there's nobody delivering. Who's going to deliver these people that is locked up in these religions, in these prison houses, locked up in these lies,
Right.
locked up in deceit? Who's going to just take the time and concern themselves with them? That's what a servant's supposed to do. And then watch what it says.
For a spoil.
For a spoil.
And none saith, restored.
And that's exactly what the Almighty is looking for, restoration. Why you think when this verse was formed, we called it the restoration of the sacred laws of the Most High Conference. Because somebody got to, we're not going to be part of the none that says, we want to be a part of the ones that says, oh, let's restore this thing. Let's get this thing straight. Let's make the crooked thing straight. Let's get this thing right. We're not going to be a part of the ones that don't say, let's restore. How'd that look? And then we say we servants of the Most High. We got to restore this. Man, look at us, man. Don't y'all see a lot of things that need to be restored?
Yes.
That need the crooked things got to be made straight? Then where are the ones who's supposed to have the knowledge, who's supposed to have the wisdom, the understanding to make this happen? You mean you got the tools to restore and you ain't doing it? Or maybe you don't have what you think you have. No wonder you not saying, let's restore. No wonder you not restoring. Look, it don't have to be us. I don't care who it is. Once they say, let us restore and let us come together and let us deal with this, I'm going to be the first one in the room.
Might be a tie.
No, I'm going to beat you. How to run fast. But we there. Because that's all. What else could you want in life? Talking to the brothers and Elder Ariel, look, I don't know if she's the oldest in the room, but I know she got to be one of them. And everybody running in and out the door, she ain't got up yet. Why? Because she wants stuff restored. She wants things corrected. She want to walk out. She can't wait till the heavens open up, the Almighty return, and we walk out of this place. Just let me hold on, even if somebody got to wheel me out. And that's all we want. And we can't get together fast enough, because this is our life and the length of our days. We had one of our beautiful brothers who passed on us not long ago. And all he would talk about to me is, it's time to go home. It's that time. We out. And, it just brings me sadness that, I can't lock arm in arm and walk with him. And I don't even know if I'll make it out. But I know we will make it out as a people. What else is there to believe? Not to believe that is to believe that our ruler and our governor is somebody named Trump. Is that what we got to look forward to? Is that our expectations? It ain't mine. Mine is the one Elohim. And I want to know his name, and I know you want to know his name, and we're going to talk about his name, because there's only one way. That's what the scriptures say. There's only one way. There's only one manner. There's only one ordinance. And if you bold, come out your little corners and your little cities and your little congregations and your little Knesses and your little sanctuaries and your little temples and your little shrines and your little halls and your churches, and let's talk about this one thing. Since there's only one Father and one law. What's the problem with that? That's what we're here to do. And that's what we're going to do. That's what it's nothing else to live for but this one thing. And so, to us, that's what it means to take the name of Yahweh Elohim in vain. You refuse to deal with this one thing. And that is the restoration of the sacred laws of the Most High. Because all this is about his law. All about his commandments. All about his ordinances. All about the ways of the Most High. And the Creator said, he that turneth his ear from hearing the law of the Most High, even his prayer shall be a what?
Abomination.
So don't tell me about, man, I ain't in the, are they talking about the law? They talking about the law. You should be front and center. If they ain't talking about the law, it's understandable why you don't want to spend your money. And we're going to talk about the law. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And we're going to take a break because I know, okay, they do have food over there, so let us rock. And then we're going to deal with, come back, deal with, at 4, we're going to deal with the, what this revelation of the name is. Let us face the east. O Yah, created the universe. It's kind of cool. Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YIsraEL. Once again, our servant come before thee. Thank you, Almighty Yah, for blessing us to even be here. Blessing all the souls and our people that have even came here to gather themselves together. Truly, Almighty Yah, we love thee with all our heart, soul, and might. And we continuously pray before thee that thy spirit will come into our midst, Almighty Yah. Please show us thy truth, Yah. Please give us the witnesses, the evidence, and all the facts that we need, Almighty Yah, that we might exalt thee, that we might glory in thy name, and that we might magnify thy law and make it honorable. For this is why you chose us, made us, designed us. For thou hast even made us for thy glory. We love you, Yah. We thank you, Yah. We honor you, Yah. We praise you, Yah. And we worship you, Yah, from this time and forevermore. By saying hallelujah. 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 Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous and Yah is holy. And let Yahweh be magnified. Amen. Hallelujah. We just